No, we'll get. There we go. Right. We are recording. Happy Friday. It's going to be a really good day. Part of the reason why is because we have an amazing rock star person that came into my world now. It's been almost a couple years. And, just the energy that this person brings, her coaching skills and talents. And, she is a predominant business owner, not only been with Keller Williams for years, but also has amazing affiliations with other companies that she's helped build, really from the beginning. So without further ado, Jessica Fox, my coach. Good morning, Jess.
Hey guys, how are you? I love your playlist. I need to get that. That's a good playlist. I'm like loving
Classical
it.
pump up. Oh yeah, my classical pump. A good mix of like 80s and then, you've got songs like that.
I
So
love it.
anyways, Jessica, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Who are you? What's your relationship with Keller Williams and real estate right now in general?
Well, briefly, I was born into real estate like embryo. I'm talking embryo. I was an embryo and then I was a realtor. I grew up in a real estate family where it's like the mafia. If you don't get into real estate, something's wrong with you. I've got only one sibling that she held out. She became a chef in New York. But I've been in business. I'm 49 now, so I literally have been in real estate for 29 years active. But I've launched a lot of $1 million market centers, and I've launched and created a lot of $1 million teams. I love it. I love what I do, and I'm here to give you guys some fun ideas and energy around your business. I also was a team leader for just shy of 18 years. So built $2 million market centers during that period of time, and launched about 7 others, fixed a bunch. And since then, I have opened 7 other businesses since I retired from that role, and part-time coach, full-time coach, I guess, but I do it in 3 days a week, and have a virtual assistant business, Cyberbacker. I have the franchise for the west coast of Florida. I'm in Clearwater, Florida, the greater Tampa market. Originally from Wisconsin, have several market centers up there. So I've been around and I've been through a lot of markets. Who, like, I know some of you are Cameron. Who's been around since 2009, 11, 12? Anyone? Well, I have, so I've got great perspective to share
Yeah,
with you.
there's quite a few. Yeah, I can see
Okay,
a lot of
cool.
names.
Yeah, and so I'm excited about this market. I'm one of those people like, woohoo, we're gonna kick butt, take names. And yet most people are kind of just deer in headlights, kind of terrified of what's ahead because they haven't been through it again. So I love that I have that perspective because I can play offense versus kind of let my mindset lead the way. And I'm here to share a couple fun ideas for you, similar to what I just did in my own market center with my top agents. So I can't wait to jump in today.
That's awesome. Well, take it away. I'm excited to have you and
Yeah.
this is pretty good.
Well, first of all, I threw in the chat a really great little hack for those of you that want to be using the YouTube shorts and reels, but just don't know how to get started. There's some really great AI that you can hack into that does all the work for you, kind of like some of the different apps that we use. So one of the things I'll share with you is I love giving agents an unfair advantage. And that's what I'd say you all have right now. And I'd love to start with just the opportunity right now, because with the market ahead, we've been here before. When the market has any extreme shift, regardless of the catalyst of the shift, if it's the mortgage meltdown that we all went through back in the last market, or even the shift of like what COVID was like. Unlike California, Florida was wide open. We were so busy. I've never worked more in my life. But again, we're the wild, wild west down here in Florida. So things were different per state. I had friends up in New York that were not able to do anything. And yet we were able to do pretty much anything we wanted. And we had everyone in the world seem to be moving to Florida. So again, each market has like differences. And yet fundamentals of the shift are always the same. So a couple things I just remind you of. In this market, we're going to have a lot of our dual career agents, hobbyists, or agents that just thought it was something different and signed up. That they watched a little too much HGTV one day and thought they'd become a realtor. You know, those folks. You know, most of them are going to leave. So the last market shift, we had 48% of the MLS leave over like a 2.5, 3 year period of time. We're going to have that again. So don't be dismayed if you see a lot of folks leave the biz, because that means there's more opportunity for you. And as this buyer bubble continues to brew, it's going to be wild what happens when that bubble pops, because at some point people have to buy, you know. If you know, and we can go to the D's of real estate, which are really depressing, which are like divorce and death and blah blah blah, because there's always listings around
All the
those
sad
things.
ones.
And
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
they're really sad, but I like the positive D's. You know, so there's babies. Those are, you know, babies are born. Guess what happens when you have 2 babies, now 3 babies? Or fur babies. I just had 2 fur babies, 2 really wicked little Labradors that are killing me right now. You know, if I was in a condo, that would not be the case any longer, right? My neighbors would kick me out of the HOA at this point. And so the things are, life makes real estate transactions, interest rates don't. News topics don't make real estate transactions, but man, can they mess with our mindset around it. So, you know, the market ahead, we have a lot of opportunity, and yet we've got a lot of interference and chaos. So don't get caught up in the interference and chaos and miss the opportunity. So, you know, if your average units per agent in California were 2 or 4, they're going to bump up to 6, 8, 12. So for those of you that grab on, hold on, and, you know, evolve for this market, you're going to have more than you ever had before. And yet it sure doesn't feel that way today, does it? Doesn't.
Yeah.
No. So you have to have a little faith, but for folks that have been around, you know, you got to remember the ride we had, and we're about to have that ride again. And yet it is kind of this major attrition in our industry. So now here's perspective I'd love to give all the agents that are listening. If you looked at the whole MLS, all the agents you compete with, say 100 miles around you, 80% of them haven't been in the market ahead, haven't been in a shifted market. They don't know what to expect. So they're also in not the best mindset, but they're also not in an environment where there's a lot of opportunity, like classes or training or agents to collaborate with. The average realtor in your MLS has like 3 or 4 other agents in their whole office. I think we forget that sometimes because we're in such a big environment in our offices. I mean, our offices are monstrosities compared to the norm. And I think we lose perspective of that, because even like a really big RE/MAX office is like 15 or 30 agents max. I used to own a RE/MAX, so that's why I reference RE/MAX. Coldwell Banker, same thing. Berkshire Hathaway, same thing. It's like 18 or 30. It's not 300 or bigger. So we're kind of like this big safe harbor right now, because you have strength in numbers as well. You guys dominate the market compared to your individual alternatives. And if all of us were at, say, an office with 8 to 12 agents, which is kind of a huge office, and the number one agent that does most of the listings just left, how would you feel? Right? Like, oh my God, there goes my maybe open house opportunities or whatever. So the fact that you're big is a big advantage. You guys have listings. Listings are going to control a lot of buyer influence. And so just know we are kind of the safe harbor to be in. And yet, is it time to plug back in? Is it time to kind of rejuvenate your momentum and mojo with what you got? You may need a reorientation even to what you have if you haven't been totally plugged in and kind of taking advantage. So I just don't lose sight of where you're at and the opportunities you have around you, because unlike most brokerages that won't even comment on NAR, for example, Gary Keller's doing valued squared. You know, we're running at it, not running from it. And grab on, plug in, and what you're being shared by Gary is what you as an agent should share to the community. So he's role modeling to you all what hypothetically we should all be doing. He's being the local expert, isn't he? Really is. He's the expert of the industry at this point. So, keep that in mind. Less competition, more opportunity ahead. And for the skills that you guys have to kind of level up on or kind of dust the rust off a little, like my husband's doing an open house, progressive open house this weekend because we actually have a listing that has had no traffic for we listed it, I think 2.5 weeks ago. It's had one showing scheduled and the people just stood out in front of the house and then didn't go in. The seller was just freaking mad, you can imagine. Yeah. So, we haven't been in this situation in a while. My husband's like, oh my God, we gotta work, we gotta do something about this. And I'm like, oh man, we do. We gotta work a little. So he's doing a progressive open house this weekend. And we're like dusting off materials we haven't used in a couple years because in Florida, you couldn't even do an open house for the last, I don't know, 4 years because you couldn't keep a listing long enough.
Oh, it's too quick.
No, I mean, you wouldn't even bother. You didn't have time. A progressive open house is a lot of fun. It's where you go and kibitz with all the other realtors that are freaking out that they're not getting any showings in the neighborhood. And you get together and you plan an open house Saturday and Sunday for 4 hours where you drive traffic to each other. We're doing a poker run. So each house you get a card, the realtor signs the back of the card. And whenever they're done with doing the open houses, there's 12 listings in that little area that they're kind of driving traffic to. Whenever someone's happy with their hand, they put their hand, seal it in an envelope, write their name and email or phone number, whatever they're willing to give us. And then we let whoever wins know. It's a $50 gift card that they chipped in for. And we share all the contact information for all the people with all that did that. So we dominate in this area. So it's all KW agents only for this one, but typically we're a little bit more friendly. We'll invite the outsiders in if we have to. But it's a progressive open house. It's a lot of fun. It's great energy. It's like how we're responding to the current market. And frankly, the sellers are mad as heck. Are you kidding me? Mark sold them this property, I think 7 years ago for $249,000, and we've got it listed for I think $780, which just shows you our market. And you guys are the same. Florida and California, we're lucky, right? And we got to do these things now. It's like, dang, right? We've got to do these things now.
Idea.
Yeah. So, just remember the opportunity you have, and yet you can't do what you were doing. And if you aren't from the old market, you don't know what we used to do. This is where having friendships and mentorships with people that have been around and have what we call old school approaches. Another really effective old school approach around pricing is before you take the listing, before you go tour their property to come up with a price, is go bring them out in the field and show them what they're going to compete with. So ironically, with this listing that Mark and I have, that is not moving, that probably needs to be priced more like $629, not in the sevens. It has to start with a 6 for sure for us to get showings. We're going to bring them out. We're bringing the husband and wife out before the open house because we're hoping we'll get a price improvement. And we're going to just show them what they're competing with because they're not as updated. They don't have as good of waterfront. They don't have as great of access. And we know a 6 needs to be at the front of that price in order for us to get the house to move. So we're going to take them out in the field. We wish we would have done that before this listing. And yet we're going back to old school because that's how you get people to price reasonably. If you actually take a seller, have them jump in your car before you go walk through their property and say, hey, let's go look at 2 for sure properties that you're going to compete with. Let's go check them out and walk in them like buyers. And then we'll tour yours. It's amazing what will happen, you guys. If you do this, they're like, oh, we'll get this house painted. We're definitely going to have to clean up. We are definitely going to have to get rid of this, that, and other thing. Or we are definitely not competing right now. But at the end of the day, it's not you trying to convince them off of a piece of paper and with charts and graphs. It's them walking into a properly staged house that smells great. It's super clean. Maybe had a little fresh paint. has a whole lot less stuff in the closets, right? And it looks good. And they walk through their house and they're like, oh my God, we look like not ready to sell. And again, that is a strategy from the old school approaches of what we do. So just remember, old school's new school. And it's not just you feeling confident with overcoming commission objections. It's you like going back to what works. And so, I know you guys are great about having panels and masterminds. It may be fun to just do old school approaches to pricing, or how to save a listing that's bombing like ours. Because it is. Ours is bombing. It should be under contract by now. So hopefully after this weekend, we have good news to report for y'all. And,
What a great idea. Yeah, that was a wonderful idea. Just because then your client, when you take them out and they're seeing the market, it's not you. I think we put a lot of responsibility on ourselves when we're working with
right.
clients and inventory. And that's having that conversation of saying it's the market that's telling us that it's not priced where it needs to be priced, right? It wasn't that
Yeah.
we made that mistake. So it's genius.
Well, and here's the other thing is you guys are all different people with different personalities, different skills, different influences. Don't get caught up on what others are doing. Do what you do. Go to your superpower, but don't forget this is a contact sport. So how do you contact and what's valuable to your people? So, I think sometimes we go to seminars or workshops and we think, oh my God, I got to start calling for sale by owners, or I have to call expireds to survive. And that's not really true, actually. It's probably more important that you are a community leader and that you're visible in your community and with your sphere. And you don't need that big of a sphere to do quite well, especially with California and Florida prices. We're fortunate in that sense. And yet I would just ask you, if you and I were doing a coaching session, like, what are you good at? What's going to be your method of communication? And what are you communicating now? What does it look like if I went on your Facebook or your Instagram? Do you compete even? Do you even look like a realtor? And if you want to be really private on one side of your life, then you have to have two identities. You really do, And if we were to look at your digital curb appeal, I know Halley, you and I have talked about digital curb appeal before. If I was to check out Rita or Nina or Daniel or Kim, I see a couple of your names, Chance. Like, who would I pick as my realtor off of your digital footprint? Because especially in our areas, I have a lot of people relocating from another state. Your digital curb appeal matters. If you don't even look like you're a realtor, or your last 4 posts were sunsets and dinner and not anything about real estate, am I going to list with you? Probably not. And unfortunately, that is a reality that we all face. You have to be able to compete at a bare minimum. And if you're expecting to get leads and referrals through social channels, you've got to perform. So I think sometimes we underutilize those channels in a big way, and we don't realize how that might be hurting us. So one of the things I do is look at how you look online. If someone meets you at an open house, they're going to go look at you. How do you look? Are you first of all competing? Are you at least in the game? And then how do you look? And remember, this doesn't have to be you doing infomercials. This could be you just when you're out and about showing property, looking at property, previewing property, sharing intel, sharing information. So one of the things I'll do is for anyone that reaches out to me, just shoot me an email or send me a text. I'm going to send you a couple hacks of ways people are getting a lot of leads by using their social channels, from just a couple things I've captured or people I've been following, if you need some inspiration there. And yet, the little video hack book that I shared, you could implement that either using a VA or a child, if you have a child that knows how to do this, anyone in your world can do these things if it's not your best interest to do it yourself. And AI is helping us look really good in really affordable ways now. If that's something that you need to level up, I would say that's pretty important though in the market ahead.
I think too, and you touched on really good points there with the digital curb appeal. When was it that we last Googled ourselves? Or even just looking at some of our social media pages, you can turn them to a viewer page or look at what it looks like on someone else's phone. Even just what we see sometimes is not always what they see, right? And I think you just bring really good points of that value and bringing that in. You touched a little bit right there on the end about having something not be your strength. One of your other businesses you're a part of is a virtual assistant company. Some people here on the call might be in a place in their business where they're having pain points and seeing like a stopping points in their business because it may be something that doesn't resonate with them, something that's not their specialty. Like what would you say to an agent like that? What is
Or
it?
you'll spend 4 hours in the afternoon trying to make a reel like me. Anyone else? And then I don't think it's good, so that I don't send it. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Anything you don't like to do or that is not a good use of your time should be leveraged. And you can leverage anything and everything for $8 an hour or less. So, with a great team leader, maybe getting a hit list of things that you should stop doing or start doing through leverage, or a coach, you can come up with what it is that you need to get off your plate or needs to get done for you. And for less than $8 an hour, you can have a specialist doing it for you. So think of it that way. So if I'm not good at something or it's not the best use of my time, even if I like putzing around on my phone and making a video, great, do that if you feel like it. But if your well-being is dependent on it being consistent and professional, those are probably things that you want to leverage. And so you can leverage projects. You can leverage just certain things get done every month for you that maybe only takes 10 hours a month. Or you can go as far as having a part-time or full-time virtual assistant that's actually a specialist in the area that you're not. So for example, I didn't make that AI book. My virtual assistant did. I don't even know how to do any of that. She does that for me. But I'm like, can you make a book about that so that I can share that with my team leader, psych coach, and different people that I help? And sure enough, like 30 minutes later, there it is, And yet, you know how long that would have taken me to do? I'd
Even
still be
hours. Yeah, even hours, it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. And I don't need to be great at everything because I'm one of those people. I must be like the ADHD, like billboard girl or something. Because even yesterday was a day I took off. I was trying to make a reel of my puppies because I've like adorable puppies. I never even finished it. I never did. I like started it twice and never finished it. So there you go. I'm a great example. So if you need a little intervention here, there's a lot of folks that can help you, but it's just really coming up with like a list of things that you just want done consistently, or every time I launch a listing, I want all these things done, or I'm going to do some social media myself throughout the month, but I'd like 6 professional posts done for me that are very much market or real estate related so that I'm balanced, or that I even look like I'm in real estate. Whatever that is for you, everyone's different. And yet it's fun to kind of flush that out and say, here's opportunity I have, or I need someone to give me an extreme makeover on my digital curb appeal because I don't know what to do. I don't even know what that means, So, ask for help if you need it. But I would say that we're all judged by our social channels at this point. So even if you're not into it, you've got to be able to at least compete at a bare minimum. And that doesn't require a lot. That could be just the stuff that your team leader is sharing out, that you're taking it, repurposing it, and sharing it as your own. It could be whatever you're getting from Gary Keller or KW. We have plenty to share without you even actually even creating anything. But if you're not communicating those types of things, you're not being seen or heard. Right?
It has to be that good mix and balance. And so much of it's already provided to us, luckily through, our market centers, all of us here on the call, very supportive, but also through Keller Williams. And sometimes we get so tunnel focused on what we're trying to do that we reinvent the wheel. We make it more complicated. We think that we're the exception to the rule. And although it's exciting to nurture that, at the same time, it creates a lot of work for a lot of people. Just what else are you excited about right now? What are you hearing in real estate, KW, that you'd like to share with us? Anything fun that's getting you excited?
Well, we already have all the curriculum built for the market ahead, whichever way things go. So the specific classes that you guys are going to need to take are already written by Gary, Jay, and Jason, regardless of what happens, and they've thought of every extreme. So we're safe. And it's not rocket science what we need to do. And in the market ahead, we're going to be more valuable than we've ever been because it's going to be utter chaos. So I would just say, be willing to let go of what you're doing now and grab on to what we're going to be pushing out at you come June and July as things firm up. But all I would do is just remember, this is a relationship game. That's it. That's all we do. We provide value through relationships and knowledge, and around the community that you love. So don't overthink this. This isn't you changing who you are. It's just you being more deliberate with maybe your communication, because communication is the relationship. It really is. And maybe decide to really do a 36 touch on your database this year, because that's really all we're talking about. And razzle dazzle a little more with the listing experience. If someone's way off on price, do something like Mark and I are doing this weekend and take your seller out. Let's go shop the market first. Let's act like buyers for 2 hours one day before we talk about your listing. It's slowing down to do a little bit more, but it's so much fun in this market ahead because you have a lot less competition, believe it or not. Lot more transactions ahead for you. And what market share you grab in the next 18 months or so, you will never lose. You won't lose again until we have an extreme shift like this, which will probably be another 10 years. So, I say go play offense, not defense.
I love that. Jessica Fox, you guys, she's so amazing. Thank you for joining me. If you have any more questions about MAPS coaching, she's a MAPS coach, questions about leveraging VA, having people move to Florida, or you just want to see your cute puppies, please go and follow her online. And she's got some great social channels. Jessica,
I'm leaving with one thing though, one challenge.
Good. Okay, good.
To give you a referral. Who is an agent that you absolutely adore that's not at your brokerage, that you maybe started real estate school with, or you just done deals with that you like? Because they're probably in an environment where they don't have valued squared, they don't have all these classes. Just invite them to stuff. But anyone that gives this gal here a referral in the next, let's say by next Friday, I will do a free digital curb appeal audit with you. We'll schedule 45 minutes together. I'll have my cyberbacker and I work with you to kind of give you a little guessing up of how you look and how you compete. So that's my challenge to you, is care about the agents that you care about. They're not in a good spot. They have a lot less information than you. Share what you have. Open our doors, because our doors are wide open and we are safe harbor. So there's your challenge. Take it.
Oh, I heart you. What a generous, generous offering. Thank you so much, Jessica. You guys go out, make it a productive Friday. Let me know if you have anyone like that that needs to come to KW and sit and have that conversation about having that good guidance. I'd love to help them out. You guys have a great rest of your day. Let's make it productive. Let's go out and get some more leads this weekend. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.